relationship together. Let's try to fix this.
We were already talking about off-ramps on Friday. Right after they announced, we're talking about off-ramps, and we're trying to figure out an off-ramp for Apple. It'd be a $3,000 iPhone if they tried to make everything here.
$3,500.
$3,500 for a good one, the kind you'd like, probably, Hassett. But what's the offer?
I'm a smoke signal kind of guy.
What's the supply? Yeah, what's the supply chain issue? I mean, what is Tim Cook supposed to do?
Right. Well, we'll see how it works out. But the bottom line is that what we're trying to do is onshore as much as we can in the U.S. and make it so that the U.S. is not hyper dependent on imports from China.
Right.
And so I think that one of the things we're seeing is that people are moving way faster than you might expect. If you look at the 20% equipment investment in the first quarter before the tariffs even came in, with supply chains moving fast and just-in-time inventory management and AI, I think you're going to be astonished at how quickly stuff moves onshore.
Kevin,
and that's what we're shooting for. And in the interim, then we'll see how it works out. But they need to move their stuff onshore as much as possible to make it so that the U.S. economy is secure and not prone to Chinese extortion.
But Kevin, I did some reporting actually on the Apple issue over the weekend. Actually wrote something in Deal Book this morning about it, which is, what do you think about the prospect if Tim Cook were to come to you and say, look, we obviously can't move everything in 12 months. It's just not going to happen. Maybe we can start to move things over several years. In the meantime, we could try to assemble more of the phone in the United States. So you could actually write on the phone, assembled in the United States, or potentially, depending on what you think the merits of it are, made in the United States, maybe at their Texas facility or something else, but with a longer-term plan of maybe 5 or 10 years, frankly, of being able to actually manufacture the phones here. If he were to come to you with something like that, do you think that then there would be a reprieve for the next couple of years as they get their house in order? Because clearly it's almost, just from a physical standpoint, impossible to move everything overnight. And the damage it could do to the company overnight is obviously tremendous.
Well, it is impossible to move things overnight. But one of the things we're seeing, I was joking with a person who does bond rating in the U.S. in my office a few weeks ago. And one of the things that happens at the Director of National Economic Council office is that CEOs line up in my office. I'm kind of like the person in an airplane that's getting walloped over the head by everybody, where everybody says, oh, like, we're never going to be able to do anything if we have this tariff. It's going to be a disaster if we have this tariff. And then my friend who's a bond rater said, actually, they come in and they tell me the opposite because they don't want the bonds to be downgraded. And so the point is that everybody is trying to make it seem like it's a catastrophe if there's a tiny little tariff on them right now to try to negotiate down the tariffs. And so in the end, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the end game is, but we don't want to harm Apple. And in the end, if you think that Apple has a factory someplace that's got like a set number of iPhones that it produces and it needs to sell them no matter what, then Apple will bear those tariffs, not consumers, because it's an inelastic supply. Oh, hey, Vic.
We had Ray Watt.